Chapter 41 Fruition 'Twas the night before the big fight, and all through the darkness, a secret party came to life. In the palest house, with scrutiny by security, they asked me for my name when I explained, "Tomorrow I will fight, as I am a servant of emptiness." They checked again, and there was that note that stitches had slipped inside. My name was on the fight card, allowing me entry into the big fight. All praise and thanks to him. Without him, we would have been denied. And on the way in, something caught my eye in surprise. In this building, there were criminals and warmongrels. Why, the deceiver brought all the cheaters here and lured them together. Each had an orbit by which they circled one another under the pale house as they expanded their domain even further. Brigades and eviction forces rode into cities to bring forth upheaval and chaos. They sought total dominion, and the deceiver was ready to make deals around the world. This was all brought together under the pale house in that secluded chamber, while they televised the fight right over it. But since it was the night before, they welcomed in all the horrors. They turned the pre-party into a great orgy, which they called the Ultimate Fucking Championship.
I have something very special for all of you. I call it my secret punch. Frankly, it's the greatest drink you'll ever have, so I know you'll like it. Drink so much of it, and maybe that's why I have so much luck in my life. Well, it's not luck, it's skill. And let's just say that this punch is my nectar of immortality. If you drink my secret punch, then you and I will reign forever,
said the deceiver. Whispers went wide into all their ears and eyes, while the pupils of everyone looked back and forth from side to side, like fish eyes dancing. The whole party was like a flock of sheep looking over the furthest fence. Was there a wolf here, or was the coast clear? They were all curious about the orgy, but still, I felt a hidden sense of fear. And of course, among all these powerful people, the deceiver was the most influential person here. Even if their chains were invisible, I felt how they were all shackled to the deceiver.
As the punch is being prepared and finished, I invite you to enjoy yourself. Let the great orgy begin. Everyone, go fuck each other,
said the deceiver. Without a moment wasted, the people got busy all around me. But I was so curious about this secret punch, while everyone else was seduced by the mad orgy. I noticed it wasn't just powerful personalities, but rather they welcomed all sorts of young boys and girls. And just as the party was underway, the young ones were taken away. I kept an eye on them, where the young ones were led to the deceiver in his private quarters. Then after what felt like 28 seconds, the young children came back through the door, dripping with cum to complete the fastest orgy ever. As I peeked in, the deceiver had unloaded quarts of cum, when I noticed none other than Cash Bug-Eyes scooped it up into a bucket. Then his false prophet ran beside Cash Bug-Eyes, and together they began to pray.
"Oh God, our God, who loves us and hates everyone else that's not like us, please protect us as we drink this divine potion, so that we alone may live forever and maintain control of the world in your name always. Grant us all the money, all the control, and all the power to dominate the world. Amen,"
said the false prophet. Next, I noticed how the secret chamber of the Great Pale House did not operate by man-made laws, but rather they created a golden statue of the deceiver and worshipped him alone as God. In the deceiver we trust, was written upon $100 bills that were under the statue's golden feet. As this all culminated, I caught Cash Bug-Eyes sneaking away as the rest of the wild orgy was kicked off. After the deceiver had already blown his load, Cash Bug-Eyes took the bucket of the deceiver's semen and stashed it beneath the pedophile files. I even gazed over his shoulder to read the instructions of the secret punch, which was a very special cocktail. And so the instructions stated, mix the pedophile cum and ginger ale. What was this? And how was I so close? As my gaze followed Cash Bug-Eyes, I could see through the walls, all thanks to the glasses of emptiness. This sight could see the true nature of reality, not just an imaginative fantasy. Oh, but how will it be exposed? And so I caught Cash Bug-Eyes in the evidence room, in that secret closet where the pedophile pages were hidden. And you'll never believe what I saw from him. I caught Cash Bug-Eyes rubbing his hands all over the dirty files before he started heating the pages. Then, as the stale pedophile semen began dripping, he harvested the old pedophile's stale ejaculations and mixed it with the fresh semen of the deceiver. After he reheated the old cum, he mixed the ingredients and transported the semen into fine-looking bottles. But every so often, I caught Cash Bug-Eyes taking sips of the semen from those old pedophiles. Oh, Cash Bug-Eyes, now what are you doing? He would even touch himself while licking that stale semen from the pedophile pages in between bottling the stale ejaculations. After he harvested a bunch of pedophile cum, he sealed the little potion bottles, but he didn't label them. After this, he passed the secret bottles and ordered them to release the semen into the punch bowl so that it would be shared around to everyone. Next, the deceiver came out and said,
It is finished. Drink up and enjoy my elixir of immortality,
exclaimed the deceiver. And so everyone was given a cup of secret punch with the pedophile semen where the wickedness spread, while a few lampstands stood firm to illuminate all of this. All the others raised their glasses and sipped, but how come none of them said anything about it? Of course they handed us a cup, but I'm not sure who else refused to drink it. Stitches was busy setting up for the fight, and he saw this as he was shocked in amazement. All these powerful beings were drinking the deceiver's pedophile cum, and it seemed Cash Bug-Eyes and the deceiver wanted to make sure everyone drank the pedophile's semen. Oh, those files were so nasty, but that didn't stop Cash Bug-Eyes from getting to the bottom of what was sticky. But how come no one ever spoke about the deceiver's pedophile quickies? Why, the more pedophile punch they drank from the deceiver's secret load, the more their eyes became hypnotized, and that's why they never seemed to wake up and see through the deceiver's lies. That's when Cash Bug-Eyes went on to harvest more of the stale semen. He even went on to write children's books hypnotized by this, stating that the deceiver was the worldly king, like living greatness, and so he touched the youth through the children's stories, where he'd stamp a tiny dab of the pedophile semen on the inside of each cover. As the evening got later, no one even realized they'd just become pedophile cum guzzlers. They could not fathom they were now connected into a wicked group of children fuckers. Oh, at least there was one lampstand here, like Stitches, and maybe a few others. Why, every 15 minutes, they would offer him the secret punch with the semen ingredient. But Stitches had an intuitive sense, and he knew that it was wicked, as something within had been altered. Stitches must have smelt something funny inside that great party. Why, they hosted all the nations and invited them to drink the deceiver's punch, which was that slightly stale, so-called nectar of immortality. Well, I couldn't stay up and watch the whole party, because the next dawn, I'd need to be ready for the fight. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about all those who drank the pedophile semen, thinking it was the great nectar of immortal life. Even as the sun came up, no one dared to speak of how the great deceiver was funneling his dirty pedophile cum into everyone. What if someone rose up against all of this? If the deceiver was locked up, eventually they'd run out of pedophile semen. But even if that happened, so many people would get away with all the horrible things hidden. Surely there must be a way to reveal that which is exposed so everyone gets what's coming. When it came time for the big fight, the front rows were filled with politicians and all sorts of powerful men and women. It was finally time for the main event to begin. Lights, cameras, action. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen," said Stitches. "This has got to be the biggest event there is. The energy is electric. Some fighters have trained their whole lives for this day, and I'm not going to lie, but last night, the party was really strange." And so a grand telecast was sent out so that everyone around the world could see. And so Stitches continued, "We've got a battle royale, and the last fighter to come out of that cage walking is the winner. And just so you all know, I have nothing to do with those dirty cum guzzlers," he said. Oh, I think these glasses of emptiness have sound, because I heard everyone's testimonies within an instant. Here I was, feeling like a clear witness, hyper aware of what was happening, and it was all maddening. The deceiver wanted to distract everyone, to control what the world perceived. He had a way of lying, to shift reality, to manipulate what the masses would see. And so Stitches continued, "Rules to the fight are simple. You have to knock your opponent out. No more tapping out. Rather, today, for the first time ever, this is survival of the fittest. Any person knocked out is a loser, and we're going beyond weight class. The ultimate winner is the last one standing. This could take many days, weeks, months, or years until we find out who is the deadliest. Now it's time to find out what happens when you put your life on the line. Eat or be eaten, and I'm just hoping that nobody dies," said Stitches. Fight after fight, many fighters rose only to be beaten. All sorts of powerful people were beat up, and so I pondered the value of the life we are given. Why would we risk it? Maybe someone would fight for true justice, but who was willing to die for it? Meanwhile, new fighters were brought in, only to be carried out on stretchers. And after enough time, it became clear, as the pedophile punch party continued on, it seemed there would never be an everlasting victor. But then, I felt something like iron within, as it pulled my body closer. My soul was next to Stitches, beside the fighting ring, when I tapped him. "Send me in. You're going to die if I call your name," he said. Any other words of wisdom? I was really hoping he was going to say something profound, to stress the importance of living. But that's when the crowd began to peak, as yet another champion in the ring found defeat. While the world sipped on the pedophile punch, Stitches leaned into his mic and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, next up is the Morning Star." To anyone who fights, it means you're willing to risk your life. And as I stepped into the ring, Stitches yanked me back when he took hold of the sickle. "Hey, no weapons. I can't let you go in with a giant knife," said Stitches. "Oh, right." That's when I went in empty-handed. Oh, the guy they'd left in the cage was a big cousin fucker. Some 666 red hat-wearing pedophile cum guzzler. He'd been drunk on the pedophile punch, like so many of them. and this was one of the big-name wrestlers who was also an experienced molester. Even the fuckboy in the front row seemed rather innocent compared to this giant motherfucker. Oh, the president of the Mixed Masculine Association was right there watching it all unfold when I looked into his eyes as he whispered,
"You are never going to make it. I won't allow it."
with a wink of an eye. I wished I had time to tell him about the power within this allegory, because it flows consciously beyond the wishes and desires of a single person within humanity. At once the bell rung, and they shut the cage. That giant fighter across from me began to laugh because I was half his size, and I'd never been in a real fight in all my life. It only took a moment before he tossed me down when I became another one of his victims. He pinned my arm and locked it in a horrific bind as bones began breaking. I tried to tap, but I remembered how this was a fight that would leave one of us unconscious. That's when I wondered about the divine source of light within us. Was it him or I, or were either of us even conscious? For as long as we are separate, as long as we fight, then we only restrict the true nature of our divine light. Oh, I felt him ripping my arm in two as it snapped clean off. Blood poured out when the man stood up and tossed my limb into the audience. In utter shock, I sat up because the luminous beauty was not something I foresaw. There, in place of my arm, a brilliant wing stretched out when I realized the conscious aspect of my life was nothing else than a tiny vehicle for God's illumination. The me that I thought myself to be was just a single ray of the great light, and in that moment, I accepted the nonviolent approach. First, to develop the nonviolent approach, we have to see that all of our problems are not out to destroy us. Of course, the human way is to try to get rid of our problems. We think that there are forces operating against us, but in this case, we can find the importance of being friendly with our problems, and this is a type of loving kindness. Only with loving kindness can you be all victorious, and this non-aggression becomes a vehicle of great service. As the all-victorious have nothing to conquer, it is not a matter of talking oneself into believing that everything is okay. Rather, if we look deeply to examine what is happening, we find that we are genuine in a good way. In fact, the whole of existence is well constructed. There are, of course, constant challenges, but for a true warrior, there is no warfare. You are never at war with your world. He's still alert. He hasn't passed out yet, that stitches into the mic. Now I see. It's all reciprocity with the divine, and this is interwoven into the nature of our universe. This is why some say that whatever we do comes back to us. And so what would happen if we offered our own body up to God and said, "God, use me as you wish. Oh, my only wish is to be taken by the divine. Use me however you like, for this body is not mine." Now you'll never believe it, but the gaze of my loving awareness invited the big fighter to come back and rip my head clean off. Yet I did not die, because that conscious part was reborn, and like a great phoenix, I finally had come alive. Now fire blazed freely, and it burned him alive. The eternal flame erupted from within, which caused the great molester to abruptly die. Yes, each body is a sort of divine vehicle if used correctly, and so we can generate a potent field of energy. For this body is like a spiritual battery that holds the invisible light intertwined with divinity. Oh, our eyes met as I watched the man burn. I hadn't even touched him while the emptiness within that fire took over. "That's unfair," said a spectator. As the molester continued to burn alive, something radiant poured out from within me. Only after the illusions had been ripped off of me, now I could truly see. Even though that man was a powerful beast, the darkness had its part, which allowed the light to be free. This was a sort of unconditional friendliness, an openness to all of it. And this was the real nature of the glasses of emptiness. Not for or against any of it, just alive with it. And with so much trust in the divine nature of it, it seemed that my sight had a heightened quality of awareness. For as I looked out through these eyes, I began to set the whole crowd on fire. I realized that my body was God's fire to transform all of us. As radiant spiritual energy flowed out through the form of an eternal flame, it bellowed loud like a great lion's roar. The crowd was left in silence as they were made aware of their greatest fear. Yes, God is more powerful than man. Wickedness beware. With the eternal flame lit, this enlightening quality illuminated the past darkness. Now many people who had drank the pedophile punch were ready to run away from the great light. It was so irritating to them because they'd become aware of how their soul had lost sight, and so a natural response is to run and hide.
Enough of this madness. That man is crazy. And so, as the great finale, I call forth the dragon,
said the deceiver. Scarlet curtains were opened when I saw her.
Shall we dance?
Said Shruti. Awareness of the mind went off musing, because I couldn't figure out why Shruti had been hiding here. Oh, she waved to everyone, including the deceiver, and then came forth into the ring as my next opponent and fighter.
If I enter into this fight, do you know what that means?
Asked Shruti.
Destroy what's left of him,
said the deceiver.
That is what I do. I put an end to that which limits us, and by the time I'm done in this ring, there will be an ultimate victor,
said Shruti. And so Stitches announced the dragon as the next fighter, which Whispers wondered if this was the deceiver's secret weapon. But still, so many of his followers were horrified that he'd been associated with a dragon scarlet woman. Shruti, how could you?
In the beginning we were, and always will be. What comes will go, and what arises will pass away. Yet what shines from within will shine for eternity. I arise to free us from that which restricts us, and so I am the pathway that leads the soul home to immortal life. I eat away and destroy that which limits us, and so I've come to free us from that which seeks to dominate us. I enter this ring to rid you of anything that seeks to poison the soul,
said Shruti. Now she turned to the deceiver and yelled out.
Are you sure you want this to be your wish?
She asked the deceiver.
Finish him,
said the deceiver.
Yes, Fruition. And so this requires me to illuminate all of it,
she said. From within her scarlet robe, she revealed a large curved knife, and as I bowed to her, I simply found my eyes gaze upon her as I appreciated the grace of the Divine Mother. She slashed the blade across my neck, but because my head was gone, it didn't faze me when the knife cut through the fire instead.
The nectar of immortality is like an eternal flame that does not simply go out, but rather we burn forever to illuminate the truth that life is all about. Below, within, and above creation, there's a source we know as the universe, which some call God's power. This reservoir is like a divine ocean, which includes everything, both the good and the bad. We welcome all of it, And through this arises a demonstration where choice unfolds alongside spontaneousness. God does not preach or teach in the ordinary sense, but it unfolds as the energy of compassion for our souls. Even after we die, the body remains still while the awareness of our inner being is welcomed home. This endless compassion and never-ending generosity develops as a divine aid for suffering. This is the nectar of immortality,
said Shruti. What is it? What is immortality?
For the light of our spirit is the nectar of immortality,
said Shruti. Now the deceiver's body grew impatient as his limbs began to swell as if he was squeezed too tightly by the enormous pressure. He had believed that Shruti was on his side, only to realize he was not in control of her. Now Shruti turned to the deceiver when I realized my soul had not died, but rather within all of us was a sort of loving awareness that illuminated a source of invisible light unseen by human eyes. Meanwhile, the deceiver's skin bursted at the seams, and now I could see where his body had been sewn together as he had once been separated at the cosmic churning. Oh, he was burning up, and it sure looked like he needed something to quench his thirst. That's when he reached to a spectator and took hold of the man's pedophile punch. With his hands around the pedophile punch, he raised it to his lips to take a sip. Holy shit! The deceiver was dumb enough to raise up the cup, not realizing that what he sipped upon was his own semen. He drank his own propaganda and was hypnotized by it. Now he fell into the delusion of it and was confused by it. This was the same stale semen that spread all over the files. And just then, his eyes saw the consequences of all his past actions, as if his entire life had been set on fire. The deceiver started pounding more punch and spewing out more and more propaganda to blame someone else. Oh, the pedophile punch had overtaken his will as his words started to get violent. As the crowd began to panic, the deceiver turned manic. His irrational decisions arose spontaneously when he ordered his armies to infiltrate other countries. That way, whatever cities disagreed with the deceiver could be forcefully taken over. And so he'd send armies into different cities to stir up the communities in a state of aggressive anger. His decisions would cause chaos and wreak havoc, which fueled a world's warlike mentality. As these decisions spread across the land, I noticed how generals began to peek over their shoulders when they heard whispers of a mutiny. But at last, the deceiver revealed his super secret genius intelligence.
No one can defeat us, not even a beast such as this. The dragon will fall because we have drank my own super secret nectar of immortality,
said the deceiver. And so, I saw how there is a hidden power to the aspects of emptiness. Not my will, but thy will. And so it can arise in the form of justice, in a way that humanity can put an end to all of this. The deceiver had drunk his own pedophile semen, which only turned up the fire. And so Shruti walked forward, raised her flaming knife, and then tossed it through the air. The curved blade spun about 3.5 times until the blade landed in the center of the deceiver's head. A moment later, he caught on fire, and his entire being was dead.
We're going beyond normal, to a place beyond which the mind thinks it knows. No more sipping on pedophile punch. I tear walls open so that the light of truth is shown,
said Shruti. She left the cage to retrieve her knife. Then a moment later, she slit the deceiver's neck and pulled his head clean off. Since his soul had gone so dark, there was no light and no wickedness left. He had wasted his life, spraying all his energy into the pedophile punch until nothing good was left in him. Very sad. So sad. Too bad. Wish him well. He was a man. Well, a man that no one could stand. She chopped up his body, along with the false prophet and Cash Bug Eyes, and threw them into the spiritual fire.
Long ago, we knew him as Rahu. He was cut in half for good reason. But since his influence sticks around forever, so too I arise to begin the next step in our soul's transformation. No longer will the pedophile punch be spread throughout the nations,
said Shruti. Shruti took a cup of the pedophile punch from someone in the audience and re-entered the ring beside me. With one look into her eyes, she ignited all of our spiritual energy. With little use for this physical body, our soul was set on fire, and everyone seemed to feel it. And if this hadn't shocked us enough, she poured the glass of pedophile punch on the spiritual fire when everything blew up. Oh, how the light began to shine and the illumination spread. This set off a chain reaction into anyone who drank the pedophile semen. And so the light grew so bright as it burned away everything that was no longer needed. It exposed all the lies, the pride, the aggression, the sexual acts, and the arrogance that was attached to the pedophile island. And about the deceiver, I wondered if someone should make t-shirts with his picture that says, "I drank my own cum on Epstein Island." Oh, he was the greatest at spraying semen, absolutely fantastic at covering young children with it. By far, the greatest pedophile to cover others with his stale, stinky semen across all nations. Then the strangest thing happened. As the fire was burning, it got absorbed into many things. After the light of the spiritual fire touched the pedophile semen, that eternal flame turned everything crisp and ripped right through all of it. And so anything connected to the pedophile ring began to burn with it. All was revealed as a consequence from all the wicked past actions. Light is here to shine and spread, the same way the rays reach down from the heavens as it reveals a power from beyond. Something like the light of heaven had turned up the fire when a great reaction transpired. And while I gazed up, I saw it was her, the Divine Mother. And upon this revelation, I carried my light to her. Like a lampstand, I shone the rays of light down in front of her feet. For she revealed what the human man had tried to hide. She cut off the cycle of suffering so the wickedness would cease. It was a direct realization, and everyone felt it. Oh, this changed us, and the nations had become aware of it. From past presidents to millionaires, billionaires, and other politicians, the great fire spread into all of them. And that's when I realized Stitches and his friends were unfazed by it, because they had not drank the pedophile punch. And so he raised his mic and began explaining. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure how to explain this, but what just happened is that I have reason to believe the world was just fed the deceiver's semen and or urine. Now, I didn't tell them to do any of this, but a lot of wealthy and famous people drank it. But again, I had nothing to do with it. So here's a play-by-play of what happened, because I can barely believe it. We have a new fighter, the Morning Star, who is the ultimate victor. He is a demon slayer, an absolute destroyer. Put some respect on his name. Because after he destroyed his last opponent and set him on fire, no one else dared to enter. That's when the deceiver got nervous and summoned a dragon. After the dragon couldn't kill the light in him, the deceiver grabbed his neighbor's party cup, not realizing that what he was sipping on was his own demon semen as he drank it up. He forgot the pedophile punch was his own cum. This was his propaganda. And as soon as the jizz touched his lips, he became hypnotized, which reminded him of all the wicked things he had done. After that, he had no choice but to face the dragon. The dragon threw a flaming knife into his head and slit his neck, and now he's dead. Oh, to the wicked, we say goodnight. No longer are you welcome here. We can be certain that there is a spiritual dimension, and this dragon has a lust for blood because she's the one who trained that morning star and demon slayer, said Stitches. Then one by one, all of his friends, whom had stitches across their neck, faces, and bodies, stood up and began the greatest roast of comedy. And as the pedophiles were revealed, so Stitches and his friends dismantled them, cut them open, and torched them by all their comedy insults. But her, who is she? Asked Stitches. And so on the way to center stage, Stitches gave the mic to Shruti as she spoke.
I am without form, without limit, beyond space, beyond time. I am in everything, and everything is in me. I am the bliss of the universe. Everything I am,
she said. Oh, Shruti, she was the centerpiece, and look what she had come to show us. She was that great omniscient dimension, or God as some might call it, and it was exposed within a single moment. It seems that in life there is a choice, and this is a personal commitment, knowing that there has always been a force reaching out to help us. And so the question becomes, will we reach out and take hold of God and surrender to it? Upon seeing the eternal way, so many look away. And yet I knew that all of us have the sight to look through the glasses of emptiness. Yes, our spiritual light seems to speak without words, and this whole vision seemed to be too much as my awareness floated by the scarlet cloth as if led by the wind, and so we went all the way into the path of emptiness. How long will we go on with this? Asked a voice beside my ear. At once my awareness shot back to reality when I opened my eyes. It seems I had dreamt this entire story, and now I was finally awake with my real life in sight. Why, I was seated in a mystical cornfield, and there in the center was a great spirit rock. How long will this contemplation go on for? A man asked. What? We are still meditating, and after you closed your eyes, you began to reveal a great story, but it's been many days. So is this a good time for a pause? Said one of the meditators. I wasn't dead, but was I dreaming? And now I'm awake? There in front of us was that mystical field centered upon a great spiritual rock. Many rare gems had gathered in this field when I realized this story was like a great dream. Yet in the process, it revealed a great teaching. Well, let's pause and stretch. But can you give us a hint of what comes next in this grand story? Asked the meditator beside you and me. What story? I wondered. The dream you were having. Tell us more. We want to know what happens, he said.